Antarctica is the new El Dorado, and nations around the world are slowly beginning to wake up to this. By the end of this century, the exploration and the development of resources on this continent will be the number one goal of every major advanced civilized nation on the planet. It is a continent larger than all of Europe, virtually unexplored. And there are resources down there beyond anyone's wildest imaginations. I'm sure a lot of people think that might be an overstatement and think I'm crazy, but in today's video, I'm going to show you evidence for it. The world is waking up to this. But before you think I'm too crazy, let's rewind the clock 40 years. Only 40 years. If you had told someone at this time to invest all of their money in this curious little device, or technologies around this type of device, you would have been called certifiable. People would have said, look, it's an interesting little thing to muck around with for a while, but it's not the future. This is never going to take off. Nobody's ever going to use these for any serious investment purposes. It's just a glorified game system for kids that can do a little math. Look at the world now. Think of this in the context of ransomware attacks that shut down pipelines and shut down food production. And that's only 40 years. The power structures of the world are changing. Different nations, are going to emerge as leaders. Brazil is one of them. Argentina, Norway, China, Russia, India, they have all made major investments, and life in Antarctica has moved far beyond the old wooden huts of Ernest Shackleton. When the explorers came to the New World in the Renaissance looking for El Dorado, they sought one thing, but found so much more. Look at the world we live in now. To us, it's history. To us, we look at the old explorers, Vasco da Gama and Menendez and Balboa, and we see, oh, well, clearly it was, the land of milk and honey and the land of plenty. Not to them. Not at that time. At that time, it was a vast, dangerous wilderness, and many back in Europe called them crazy for thinking that anything was going to come of it. This is modern diplomacy. Is Antarctica the new El Dorado? The sixth continent between claims and international law? Now, this is kind of a dry read, but something is said all the way at the bottom of this article, and I'll give you a link and you can read it for yourself. Most likely, its period of validity will be extended, speaking of the Antarctic Treaty. But we have to be prepared for any development of events. Earth's resources are inevitably running out, and it is much cheaper to extract oil and coal in Antarctica than in space. So an oxymoronically near-distant dystopian future awaits us. The writer of this article has no idea how accurate they were. What I'm showing you are not artists' renderings or theoretical bases. These are real in Antarctica. There are advanced technologies and the ability to generate power from wind and solar has grown by leaps and bounds just in the last 10 years. And that has given many nations the ability to set up these stations, these advanced teams. And they're going to learn things that we're kind of falling behind on. Some of the architecture is absolutely breathtaking. It's not just wooden huts or metal shipping containers that have wires sticking out of them and antennas on the top. This is a Comandante Ferraz research station in Brazil. And they talk about this, about, where they got the idea and looking back through history to create stations that you would think would be in the modern world, somewhere in North America, perhaps Canada, Alaska, Montana, but they're in Antarctica. And they can live and they can function and they can operate as if they were anywhere else. This looks almost like the size of an apartment complex. And there are areas, and this has been well documented, of Antarctica that are melting almost permanently. As you can see in this shot from Dorado Station, there's almost no ice or snow anywhere. A virtually unexplored continent. Some of the cross sections of the living quarters are really fascinating to see. How they've developed the technology and these hydraulic lift legs, for lack of a better term, that these things sit on because of the movement of the ice, and they can be picked up and they can be shifted from place to place to place depending on the movement of glaciers and snow buildup. That was one thing that doomed Haley Station. These are the types of things they're learning. This cross-section shows a workout gym, massive amount of storage, and then above you've got a library, reading area. This is Antarctic Facts, 18 incredible things to know about the White Continent. Unending amounts of fresh water. This is something I've never heard any scientists talk about. We've talked about it here. There's 4 times the amount of fresh water in Antarctica than in the rest of the world combined. Every river, lake, and stream, every pond that is in the other 6 continents, multiply by 4. And to me, this is one of the most amazing developments. And it's the French, ironically, that are doing it. It's called the Polar Pod. And it's not actually going to be on Antarctica. It's going to be in the seas around Antarctica. And it has no engine. It's a research station that is built largely to float underneath the water for stability. 2 huge ballast tanks below, and only the very top sticks out above. It has sails and wind turbines for generating electricity. Has a crew of 8. On the left here, I'm showing the breakdown of the 4 floors of this thing called the Polar Pod. This gives you kind of more of a front-on view. Bottom ballast weighs 150 tons. Electricity generated by 6 Kingspan 3.2 kilowatt-hour wind turbines and let's see if I can speak English. Photovoltaic cells, and stored in 2 50 kilowatt-hour packs of lithium-ion batteries. And it's going to circle the South Pole, I believe, twice in 3 years, is what it says, changing crews every 2 months. 100 meters high and weighs 1,000 tons, grand total. This is what's being developed around the world. And if you would like to join us at Twitch in the evenings, there's a brand new game that we are playing called Subnautica Below Zero, and it is as close to Antarctic exploration as you're going to get. We played it for the first time last night, and it is one of the most fun, fascinating games I have ever played, because it's true survival. You have to fish, and you have to prepare the fish, and you have to eat, and you have to filter water so that you have water to drink. You have to maintain your body temperature. And you have to build different things and create things from resources that you gather in the environment. And you have to study and learn about that environment. It truly, we went through 2 hours of this last night, and it was absolutely a great time. You've got to, in this case, like you see the surfacing, you can't just stay underwater forever. You have to breathe. And you have this little home base, this little pod that you can go and you can take these natural resources that you gather and create things. And those things help you develop the ability to do more things and create more things and build and create a life in what looks like the planet they talk about is 4546b, but basically it's just an analog of Antarctica. That's all it is, an Antarctic exploration. So we would love to have you at Twitch with us about 10 o'clock. We usually get started Eastern time at night, and we've been playing for a couple of hours. I think I'm going to get a little bit of an earlier start tonight so we can get some more time in, because this game is so complicated and there's so much to do, and it's really truly fun. And I'm playing it with you. I've never played the game before, so we're learning together and developing ideas about how to move forward and how to do things, as a group. So anyway, Twitch, just like it sounds, twitch.tv/ the channel here, just like it sounds, Florida Maquis, Florida Maquis. So twitch.tv/ Florida Maquis. I'll give a link down the first pinned comment, and you can join us there. But this is why I'm so focused on Antarctica, because I truly believe not only is it the new world, many nations around the world agree with me. Many nations around the world are putting vast amount of resources into it. And having grown up in the 80s and seen what happened with computers and what the prevailing wisdom was then, you have to think outside the box. You truly do. And when you look at the exploration of Antarctica versus the exploration of space, they don't even compare. They don't even compare. Antarctica is real. It's someplace we can actually go. There was an episode called Solitudes. I believe it was season 1, episode 19 of Stargate. It's where they discover the second Stargate on Earth. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. The two characters, Captain Carter and Colonel, the guy from MacGyver, I forget his name, accidentally travel to this second gate on Earth that they don't even know exists through the first Stargate that they do, and they think they're on another planet. They're injured, and Captain Carter makes her way to the surface and sees just this vast, wind-blown hellscape of ice and snow, and they truly believe they're on another planet. Think about that. If we're going to travel to other planets, if that's going to be the case, we need to master the ability to deal with Antarctica first. I mean, that's just common sense. So, anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll give you the link to where some of these pictures you can find are. They're building this stuff. It's real. Antarctica is going to be settled. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. Hope to see you tonight.